Great. Welcome everybody to this short show match or showcase. So we've had a lot of new people coming these last few days after the Viper decided to cast the final of the AI of the King of the Arabia AI tournament, and also Spirit of the Law did a video. We've had a lot of new people coming in, and we thought this might be a nice opportunity to try and interact with some of these new people and give a little introduction to some of the AIs who hasn't been showcased in the Viper stream or in the video by Spirit of the Law, and also just give everyone a chance to interact and ask any questions you might have. And in addition, we've had SD make some graphics for some of the AIs, which we'll play a little around with as well. So what I've prepared is 2 games with some different custom AIs from the tournament, which we're gonna watch while we'll talk a little about the AIs. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer. Do you have anything to add, Leif?
Yeah, I just want to say welcome to everyone as well. Maybe we should introduce ourselves and then start showing the matches.
Sure. So I am TheNightPanda. I am the author of the Rehoboam AI, as well as one of the AIs in this showcase called the Panda Tutorial AI.
And I'm Leif Ericson. I've been in the AI scripting community for a few years now. And I scripted the General, which made it like 4th or 5th place, something like that. So I'm pretty happy with its results.
Alright, cool.
And just glad to be able to stream some matches together.
Yep, me too. Yeah, and I can say I've been with the community since early 2020, so not that long. Alright, let's jump into this. I will just set up the stream here, remove the overlay, and we will jump into the first game. Before we do so, though, I have a little graphic here, because we have had SD make these lovely graphics for us, which are basically just a little way to sum up some info about the AIs. So these 2 AIs most of you probably know, and these AIs won't be in the showcase matches of today, because we want to showcase some other, maybe less known AIs. But just to give an example, we've sort of made these little graphics just to be able to compare the different AIs. So yeah, any thoughts on this, SD? I don't think we even talked with you about this.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of these. You can see here Barbarian and Promi, who made it 2nd and 3rd place in the tournament. And you can kind of see that both of them have some pretty good strength. I noticed that Promi, it's one of the best known for its economy management, so you can see it's equal with Barbarian. But Barbarian's strategies and micro are what put it over the edge to get 2nd place over Promi.
Alright, cool.
It's fun to have these. You can one thing you'll notice is if you look at the shirts, you'll see the AIScripters logo on the left-hand side as you look at the diagram, and then on the right, each AI has their own unique symbol, with Barbarian having the 2 axes and Promi having the silhouette of a town center to emphasize its booming. So those are some fun things you can watch for.
And also we've tried to collect a bit of other info, like how aggressive the AI is, which is displayed at the bottom here. as well as, yeah, how well it macros its military, how well it macros its eco, and how many strategies basically it will go for in a standard game. Alright, and with that, I will jump into the first game here, which...
Let's go.
Alright, there we go. So this game contains 4 AIs from the tournament. In the blue we have the Horde. And I think it makes sense just to give a little info about each AI. So the Horde... Actually, I should get this up for the Horde as well. Here we go. So the Horde is basically a it's probably the oldest of all the AIs in the tournament. Maybe you can brush up on this, Leif.
Yeah, so the Horde, you can see, was released in 2007. I think Eagle's Revenge might have been the oldest, which is an Eagle Warrior Rush AI. I think the first version was released back in 2001 under a different name. I think ER 0.90 was the version that played in AI tournament back in 2001. But the Horde is definitely one of the earliest AIs and was the strongest AI for a long period of time, basically until around when Barbarian was released.
Cool.
And I think the other distinction about the Horde is that it was the HD AI was actually a modified version of the Horde. And so it was Promi, the scripture of the Extreme DE AI, he adapted the code for the Horde to be able to play on the HD edition.
And can you tell us a little bit about why that had to be done? Why you couldn't just play the Horde on HD?
Yeah, the main reason is so the HD was released in 2013, I believe. And before that, you had something released, some of you might know, called the user patch back in 2011. And the Horde, I believe, had already incorporated some of the advanced user patch commands that really enhance the abilities of the AIs. And so I think they had to take an older version of the Horde that didn't have all the advanced commands that weren't compatible with the HD edition and then build it up from there. That's my understanding.
Yeah, cool.
And it was the best, like, pre-user patch AI that was out there.
All right. And to add a bit of info about the Horde here, we can see that it's not really an AI that relies too much on its macro. It's fairly old, so most of the newer micro features it didn't really have access to back then. But it's known for having a relatively strong macro overall. It will go for a big boom and play fairly defensive for the most part. So with that said, let's move to its teammate in the red. We have Pharaon, and I will just update. Here we go. Yeah, so Pharaon is an AI made by SD, and it's I think it's a few years old, at least, and it's more of a balanced AI with somewhat decent micro, somewhat decent macro. And like most of SD's AI, it likes to go for a lot of skirmishers in feudal age, and put a lot of pressure on the opponent with these. So it will play fairly aggressively, and it also have some fairly advanced micro features as well. It finished 9th in the tournament, but it was actually very close to getting further, so it might as well have gotten even a higher ranking. Do you have anything to add, Leif?
I think that sums it up pretty well. I'd just reiterate that it was doing quite well in the tournament. Some very impressive showings. I think might have played the, just double checking the bracket here, I think it might have had some good showing even against the Extreme AI, but then had some rough matches later on that earned it only ninth place. But yeah, I think it's one of SC's AIs that strikes a really good balance between aggressiveness, micro, and macro.
Yeah. Cool. And yeah, it's one of the it is one of SD's older AIs as well. So I think that it's not something he's working on as actively as the next AI we'll take a look at. But being one of the older AIs, it's pretty solid, and it will have usually less bugs, as it's just have had more time to get thoroughly tested. All right, and
Yep, I agree.
moving on to this. If you just give me a second, I will have. There we go. So, in the green, we have Odette. Odette is one of SD's newer AIs. And the special thing, I guess you can say, about this AI is that it does quite a bit of more micro than most of his other AIs. And I think it's the AI he's most actively working on. It's got a lot of different strategies as well. It won't just go full skirms every game. Yeah, and it finished 5 in the tournament. So, quite a decent AI. Do you have something to add, Leif?
Yep, and of course it's named after the female streamer, and it doesn't do it in many games, but it will occasionally do a good wall around its base. One of the few AIs that will do a wall for the flank player in a team game, and one of also the few AIs that will do a scouts rush or man-at-arms rush. It's those kind of strategies with scouts or man-at-arms are a bit harder to pull off with AIs since they require more micro. So yeah, Odette's a pretty cool AI.
I think it even might sling sometimes in team games as well. So quite a few strategies and some more advanced micro features from Odette here. And then the last AI here, I will just have it on the screen here, is the Panda Tutorial AI, which actually finished quite high as well on the in the tournament. So this AI is made by me, and it's basically just an unfinished tutorial AI, which I thought I might as well put in the tournament. So this is something that's meant for new scripters to get an easy introduction into AI scripting. It's a project I'm planning to work on in the future, but currently it's not really ready for educational use. It's a very simple AI. It has one strategy. It will build a lot of militia line units, and then it will build some more, and then it will build some more, and at some point it will attack. And that's about it. But it has quite decent macro, and many AIs has trouble dealing with the Malian men-at-arms, which get extra pierce armor, because AIs tend to do a lot of ranged units in the early game. So it's actually doing quite well, as you will see. Alright. And we have the first action coming up over here. So let's jump into the game. Since the first attacks are coming in on both sides, we have the Horde moving back a bit back and forth here, while Pharaon seems to be the aggressor on the upper side of the map.
You got tower to defense from Odette. Let's see if that plays into Pharaon's ability to get around it. Looks like Pharaon is able to find some way around it, avoid it. That's one of the things that AIs have to do is that it can be pretty difficult to control the AI's armies. And so telling it exactly where to go can be difficult to program. Otherwise, AIs would just rush straight for the enemy town center and put in a watchtower in the way. Is a pretty easy way to take out the enemy's army.
Yep. Here at the bottom we have a small skirmish. The Panda tutorial AI fighting off the first wave of skirmishers. While on the top, the skirms from Pharaon are putting a lot of pressure here on Odette. I'm not sure who has... Yeah, Pharaon has quite a lot of more army. So maybe Odette had a bit of a rough Dark Age. I guess we should be able to see the KD as well somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, Odette even killed more units. So maybe doing slightly better micro here, but the macro is slipping a little bit, it seems.
Yep, I noticed that Pharaon has the armies split apart. That could give Odette the edge here.
So
but Odette also has the armies split.
Yeah. And to anyone who hasn't watched a lot of AI matches, skirms are probably the most popular unit in AIs overall. Especially when it comes to SD's AI, and SD, for those who don't know, is the guy who organized this tournament and who organizes most AI tournaments. And one of the reasons skirms work well is that ranged units are just easier to micro in the early game. They can do damage from afar, and they don't really require as much micro to be effective. So if you know you're gonna do ranged units and the enemy is gonna do ranged units as well, you might as well do skirms to counter the enemy ranged units. So this is basically what we're seeing here. And yeah, we also see that the KD for Odette is steadily climbing here, 26 to 8. So quite a nice showcase for its micro capabilities. Something that has has quite a drastic change in the last year for AIs. The ability to do more effective hit and run. Like we see Odette doing here, wasn't really a thing apart from a little hit and run against melee units done by Barbarian. Apart from that, we didn't really see this kind of micro until like a year ago. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, I think that's definitely correct. The Barbarian would do it with its Archer Rush in the Feudal Age. But otherwise, there were a lot of AIs that did it successfully. You'd see scripters kind of like playing around with it, but it took until like the last year for the scripters to finally get it incorporated into the AI. There's so many different decisions you have to make about when to fire, timing it correctly, and where to send them to fire and to dodge shots. But it's definitely a massive improvement for the AIs that can do it.
Absolutely. And here we see what you mentioned before, towers also being one of the things that are a bit more tricky for AIs to get around. You don't really want to stand under the tower all the game, but you also don't want to be too scared. And here Odette is a bit indecisive. This is something that's quite hard to program. Because you have a lot of variables. You don't only have the tower, you also have how many villas are garrisoned in the tower and how much enemy army is nearby, and those variables can change a lot during a few seconds. So this might make the AI go back and forth a lot. I know this is something that especially SD's AIs has had issues with as of late, but issues with earlier, but this version of Odette is dealing a bit better with the tower, not being too afraid of it, it seems.
Yep, got numbers advantage against Pharaon, but a lot of dancing in front of the tower.
We have 25 against... Oh. Against... yeah, we can do this, right? 21 against 20 now, actually. So a very close micro fight here. Two armies very close to each other as well. Yeah, so in the end, I think it was quite a good fight for Pharaon. The KD is slightly closer now than it was, but so some decent micro from both here. And on the bottom, not much is happening. We have the Panda tutorial AI and the Horde both massing armies. The Horde has gone back and forth a few times, not really deciding to attack. I'm not sure if this is a DE bug. The Horde was never really optimized for DE play, and this will sometimes lead units to attack more or less than they would do on user patch. I haven't seen the Horde play enough on user patch to know if this could also happen there, but it seems a bit odd that it would just walk all the way to the enemy base and walk back, which it has done a few times this game. And this is also
there could be a unit stance bug, because if they're just on aggressive patrol, they would have attacked the gold miners there, for example.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't watched enough the Horde matches. Plus, I think SC added a couple of changes just to make sure that the Horde could play DE without some bugs.
Yeah.
And
here we saw some.
So I could explain some of that.
Here we saw some fairly nice micro from Pharaon as well, doing some hit and run, killing the scouts. This is actually not too hard to script once you know how to do it, because you basically just wanna shoot whenever you can, right? Making micro against ranged units is a bit more tricky, because you want to shoot when the enemy can't shoot you back, right? So more AIs have this kind of hit and run micro against melee units, as far as I know.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting to see the evolution of micro. Some of you who played the original game would know that the AI would usually just like not retreat at all, just go like dive in straight toward the enemy and start attacking. Then the next improvement was to just avoid towers entirely, or town centers, once they fired arrows. Once that ability was added, allowed AIs to play smarter. And nowadays you can get this whole hit and run, you can time the shots. It's really impressive. It just took some time for the AIScripters to code in the logic to make it happen.
Yeah. And we have a fairly...
definitely a good fight's being taken from Pharaon.
Yeah. But still a fairly even matchup here. They'll count somewhat even, but yeah, Odette is struggling a bit when it comes to its military count here. It should probably walk its units back and try to save up some army before attacking. It's throwing a lot of knights away one at a time.
Yeah.
The ability to do counter purchases is, I think actually I think only Barbarian does this very well. The ability to garrison all its units and buildings and wait for a big pushback. It's something that's a bit more tricky to do well, compared to just sending the units out to defend.
Right.
Oh.
And when an AI is in your town and attacking, you actually have to force the AI not to attack with all of its units in a massive mob, just one by one.
So now we see finally there's some action on the bottom side here. It's not uncommon in AI wars to have the AIs be very passive for a long time, because if the military counts are even, they might just both be too afraid to attack if they don't feel like they have enough of an advantage. But here we see what the Malian men-at-arms can do against mass ranged units. They don't really take too much damage from town centers either, so this is quite brutal.
Nice pierce armor.
So even though we have the Horde with quite a nice villager lead at this point, I would expect this to change as it's getting heavily raided here.
Right, I'm not sure if Horde knows how to counter Malian longswords with the extra pierce armor. It might try to counter them with crossbows.
Yeah. To be fair...
just because I don't think the Horde knew about Malians back when it was made.
Yeah, exactly. We have some a very nice defense here by Odette, making a mangonel, which it's actually defending it. Oh, it was at least defending it rather well, using it to scare away the army of Pharaon here. Not sure if...
Yeah, but Pharaon had enough of eagles to take it out.
Yeah.
Or at least make the fight not so dominant for Odette.
Yeah, so even though we have some nice defense for Odette, who is still on similar build counts, it's not really a convincing pushback from Odette yet. While on the bottom side we have the Horde in serious trouble. Now it's dropped to half. It's half the builds it had before. And yeah, this is one of the things in AI matches. They tend to be a bit snowbally. If you find a breach in their capabilities, they won't really stop and think I gotta do something different. They'll just keep doing the less than ideal thing for the rest of the game. So we have it continuously making crossbowmen here, even though it's not really effective. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's looking so far like the Horde might get knocked out first before Odette gets knocked out. But it's in the 2v2, it's kind of fun when it's a race to see which one gets knocked out first, and then it turns into a 2v1.
Yep. We can also look at the resources of the AIs here, if someone is trying to get to the next stage. And actually I think we have a bug here. So the Panda tutorial AI is trying to go imp. We can tell from its resources, but it's not going imp. And I'm pretty sure for some reason it failed to build its university. And yeah, I have noticed that the university will sometimes be tricky for the AI to build because it's a larger building. So if you have some settings done wrongly, it might not have space in its base, or think it has space in its base to fit it in. So this is quite a nasty bug, and this is something that happens to AIs a lot. Obviously AIs like the Promi AI, which is the default DE AI, or Barbarian, has had a lot of time to fix many bugs, but new AIs won't be so lucky with these things. So this is not uncommon. And we still have the Horde basically dead here, so it's not the end of the world to have a bug at this time. On the other side, Odette is hanging on, but it's not looking good. It has basically this mangonel and this knight against the entire army of Pharaon, who is retreating though. Or not really, it was just regrouping, it seems. Yeah, so seems to be kind of a race to see whose teammate dies first and the most here. And we have Pharaon going up to Imp as the first. So even though we have a higher score for Panda Tutorial AI, I think Pharaon is overall in a better position here. So maybe we should speed up the game a bit here, because I think not too much is gonna change until one of the either yellow or red decides to change its targets.
Exactly. Just waiting for that moment when they decide to change over. And you can't help but noticing that Odette and Panda have way better numbers on their side. Villagers and military, easily in the lead.
Yeah, Odette is doing a nice job at least of trying to reposition its eco here and not losing too many Vels. So that's the issue is that
main advantage is for Pharaon is advanced Imperial Age, so that could be something that swings in its favor.
The tutorial AI, however, is not really responding to the fact that the Horde is completely dead here. I think if this army was sent to Pharaon a few minutes ago, the game might have been over. But it's not really. Let's just keep attacking the buildings here. This is obviously something that's due to the fact it's just such a simple AI, about 100 lines of active code. So I think it has like one line which is supposed to make it change its target, and for whatever reason it's failing to do so here.
One thing I find interesting, just using the Man-at-Arms longsword strategy, those of you who've been in the community for a while and have tried to learn AI scripting may know that Bear the Great made a training AI back in 2007 that used the exact same strategy in its training AI. I was kind of curious if you decided on that for that reason or not.
No, actually the only reason for this is I wanted a very simple strategy, and that could still be effective. So I just thought that with the Malians we could have a one-unit army which wasn't that easily countered. Like Malian Men-at-Arms doesn't really have a hard counter like going full knights or full archers would have.
Right.
So it seemed like a good option from that point of view. The Horde just resigned here. We have the occasional.
So we'll see if Panda decides to switch targets at that point.
Yeah, it is sending a few units up, it seems, but not. And we have the rest of the units just going around like ants here. It doesn't seem to be fully committing. And the fact that it's stuck in Castle Age and it's not even making farms here. Yeah, so the bug has become more severe at this point. We also see its bank of food isn't as big anymore. So it looks like it looks like the bug was severe enough for Pharaon to bring home the win 1v2 here. I think
here we go. Might be the final fight.
Yeah. So Panda Tutorial AI actually doesn't resign. So I think I just stopped the game around this point. As seems pretty clear that the game is over. Resign rules aren't too hard to make, but still, it's not really necessary to have in a very simple AI. So yeah, that was the first.
The player
game.
will just decide to quit the game when they know that they've won. It's not like a campaign where you don't go on to the next mission if you haven't defeated the AI.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, GG. The got to see Pharaon's strength and the just how AIs can use skirmishers really easily, and also saw Odette's strength of being able to defend itself well. I'm curious how it would have turned out if the panda didn't experience the bug. It could have seen Pharaon going 1v2.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, from the unit composition of Pharaon, I think Panda tutorial AI had the units to kill its army with imp tech at least. That 8 Pierce armor against Arbalest is quite effective, but that's how it is with AIs. Sometimes they bug out, and it's really more common than it's more the rule than the exception that you will have bugs from time to time. It's only really
Mm,
the very top the older top AIs who can have who, from who you will very rarely see bugs basically. Um, so yeah,
yep. Just inconsistencies with logic or some cases that you didn't account for in your script.
yeah, and now I think it's a good time to maybe we should just now let's go about and talk about some of the AIs in this match. So I've chosen 4 new AIs for this. Only 3 of them have these animations done by SD. So let's start with Forthwind. Forthwind is an AI made by Screaming Coos, and it's also a relatively new AI. I think he might have worked on it actually for several years, but only just making it public for D within the last year or so, I think. Um, and
Hmm.
it is one of the low to mid tier AIs of the tournament, finishing 13th. Um, it has some decent micro capabilities, but it's still lagging a bit behind some of the top AIs, both in its micro and macro capabilities. Um, it's an AI who has a lot of different strategies and who will do some funny chat in the game and yeah try to bash the opponent while playing. Um, then we have in the blue. You should probably introduce this one.
Yeah, because that's my AI, the general, and it currently has 2 different strategies that it can play, either a Night Rush or an Eagle Warrior Rush. And so it's unique in that it's a fast castle AI. Eventually, it'll do a flush or a drush, but just sticking to strategies that are easier to code. And then once those are good, maybe then get into some of the more successful strategies. But I think the general focus is on a lot on flexibility to different situations. Whether it does that well is another question. But I feel like it's pretty good in the early game, but might be weak to an early attack, as you'd expect from a fast castle AI. And so yeah, had fun making it. Currently, for the tournament, it was only playing Aztecs, Huns, and Magyars, but with a couple changes, it would be able to play all the other civilizations.
Yep, cool. And the last AI is my main AI called Rehoboam. Um, and it's yeah. I'm not sure if everyone in this chat saw the final, but it ended up number 1 in the tournament. Um, Mostly due to its micro, um, which you'll probably see more of in this game, and also it does have macro, I would say, on the level of Promi and Barbarian. It's very effective in its play, but also it's main weakness is that it's not very flexible. It has one strategy it will go for, which is a flush into knights, and it's not very good at adapting or defending when it's behind. So it tries to snowball an early lead with micro into a strong boom, and then go in full paladin late game. It only plays Franks. This game I actually by accident put it to play Byzantines, but I only realized after the game. So, but yeah, if you want to play it on ideal settings, you want to use Franks, as other civs has a higher chance of bugging out.
Yeah, and obviously, just my own commentary on Rehoboam. You can see, if you look at the micro stats, how, if you've noticed, most AIs are in the lower end on the micro scale, and then Rehoboam's the only one that has the 7 stars.
Yeah,
So that's definitely one of the notable things. If you look at the bottom of the card, you can actually see some fun facts or distinctive stuff about each AI. And Rehoboam is unique, and that's the first AI to really successfully control every single villager by manually, rather than letting the AI engine doing a lot of the decisions for you when it comes to the economy. And so I think that's one of the things that makes its macro very effective.
Yep. This is something that has a lot of potential. So basically, most AIs have their ecos controlled in a way where they will just set some numbers for how large a percentage of their villas they want on each resource, and then the AI engine will automatically make that split happen. Instead, Rehoboam basically plays its Dark Age and Feudal Age like a human would do with respect to villagers, basically just clicking wherever it wants to go. And also, I've put a lot of work into making sure that it makes its drop sites in effective places. Stuff like this, to make the early game very efficient. And it also does some of this in the later game, but obviously it's especially important in the early game, where you want to maximize everything to get another lead. And yeah, I think oh, I forgot we had these on. I think I'll remove these again, and then we'll get to the last AI, which is a bit of a joker I threw in here. No, wait a second. Did we? Yeah, we did talk about Forthwind. Yeah. So the last AI here is Yggdrasil. And this AI was actually not in the in the tournament. I was voting for it to get in the tournament because I think it's a very, very different AI to every other AI in the tournament. And for those who are looking at this eco, you may have an idea of what is going to happen here. This is a tower rushing AI. It will tower rush every 1v1 and 2v2 game. And yeah, it will sling. The flanks will sling the pockets in the 3v3s and 4v4s, but with this only being a 2v2, it's just gonna go for a tower rush into a castle age boom into a, I think it's like knights in the late game or something. So yeah. And
yep, you can see the trash is starting now.
Yeah, it's finding a place for its first tower. This is actually a great first tower, I'd say. It's built in a fairly safe location, but will still I think it will still hit these vills, or at least be close to hitting them. So good first
If
tower
not,
here.
the next tower will be in range, I think. I can't remember if it builds it in a specified radius, or if it tries to just get closer and closer to the TC. I feel like it might just like surround the enemy's town with towers.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either. I think Esti would be better able to answer this. Um, yeah, because obviously you'd want to get close enough to disturb the farm eco as well here. But so far, this is quite similar to how a human might start a tower rush. Build one safe tower and then build a tower which actually disturbs the enemy. And with 2 towers, it's already a bit tricky to take down, and especially for AIs, which has a harder time with towers than humans. Over here we
Yeah,
see.
we'll see.
Over here we see Rehoboam getting some army out. It will always go for ranged units and feudal age, and with the general going for a fairly greedy approach with the naked fast castle here. This might be punished by Rehoboam. Oh, this is actually a bit buggy behavior from Yggdrasil, cancelling a nearly done tower, which it could have easily finished here. But good job from Forthwind.
See where Yggdrasil goes from here. It's taken the gold, but so far hasn't done any other damage yet. I'm also waiting to see if Rehoboam is going to do some damage against generals on the way to Castle Age now. And would have some eagles to defend from the archers, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think this tower by the general is not really protecting anything, right? It might work against an AI with poor micro, as it might deter it from attacking, but it's not really close enough for the vills to provide any safety here.
Yeah, and there's something funny going on with tower placement in DE. I haven't figured it out yet. It's been a lower priority. In the user patch, they'll place it right next to the lumber camp. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I've had trouble using using non-DOC code to place towers as well. It is a bit.
Yeah, I know early on
sometimes.
in user patch there was an issue where it would increase the allowable distance from the targeted point too quickly, and so then it would be placed too far away from the original location that was desired.
Yeah. So we see the first eagles go down here to the pressure of Rehoboam, and the general doesn't really have enough food to get full upgrades on the eagles here. And there are still eagle scouts with +1. I guess it did the attack upgrades for its eagles instead of the eagle warrior upgrade, which was maybe not the right call here, but. On the other side, we see the tower
It's probably
rush.
a case where it had the resources to research the +1 attack and did it before the Eagle Warrior upgrade, which, yeah, I agree is not the best prioritization. And so Yggdrasil is slowly going around Forthwind's town.
Yeah, and to anyone who doesn't know, Leif is a bit behind me, both in video and sound, so it's a bit hard to coordinate our streaming here, but we do our best. But yeah, we do see the eco of Forthwind being very confused here by the towers. It seems like it's trying to go for these deers on the other side of the tower, which leads to the vills constantly retasking themselves between the wood lion and the deer. So a lot of walking time here, which we can probably see if we look at the worker efficiency. Yeah. So actually, the worker efficiency for both Yggdrasil and Forthwind are quite low here, with Yggdrasil's vills being forward building all the time, right? But certainly lower than the Rehoboam and the generals.
Exactly. So it's probably turning into another game where you're just waiting to see which AI is killed off first.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it turns into Rehoboam versus Yggdrasil, I would imagine that Rehoboam would have the advantage here with the much larger army.
Yeah.
The forward towers for Yggdrasil are not going to do anything to defend its town.
Yeah. They will probably keep Forthwind out of the game for a long time here. This may seem weird to someone who hasn't tried to tower rush the in-game AI, but it's just whenever vills are attacked by towers, they will sort of retask themselves to some new point. So one single tower can do a lot of damage due to the way the AI engine reassigns villagers. If there was a tower like here, attacking these vills, it would be even worse.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Kamiuk asking in chat. And yeah, you can definitely try and play against Rehoboam. Just make sure you play it with Franks chosen, and also it's not really it's not yet made to play against full walls, so I would advise against doing full walls against it. It's available both on the AIScripters forum webpage or also as a mod. And to anyone who doesn't know, I've actually added all of the AIs from the King of Arabia 2 tournament as a mod on DE. So you can just download that and you'll have all of the AIs from the tournament in one pack. Except the HD and the DE AI, which you wouldn't really need to download anyway. So.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been fun to see if Yggdrasil tower rushed Rehoboam. I agree. As someone is mentioning in the chat. Usually the way it goes is that either Rehoboam has an army out while it spots the first tower, and then the tower just dies before it even starts, or it gets a few towers up and ends up killing like a lot of army from Rehoboam because it doesn't really know how to react to it. So it's kind of a all or nothing scenario. I think at this point we can probably start speeding up the game, because there's not really
I agree.
any way back for at least for the general here. Forthwind isn't completely dead or anything here, but it is still significantly behind when we consider that it's still in feudal age, and we have 2,300 wood and like 0 food. So this is pretty typical of what how an AI might react to a tower rush if it's not really made any tower rushing code. So
I'm guessing Forthwind doesn't have a market to sell off that wood either.
oh yeah, that would be a good building here. Yeah, so definitely something that Forthwind could work on, but I think also some scripters don't really want to spend too much time on things like tower rushes, right? Because if it's sort of a cheese strategy anyway, you might want to spend your time more on something that will happen in most games. And here we see Yggdrasil attack with knights, booming on 3 TCs. So it's certainly getting to a stronger point here. And now we also see the vill number from Forthwind dwindle here. So yeah, looking pretty much over for Forthwind as well.
Yeah, it seems like the last hope for the Yggdrasil team would be for the Knights to attack Rehoboam's town. I haven't seen Rehoboam's defenses, but it's probably defended well enough that the Knights wouldn't be able to do a huge amount of damage before their crossbows get back.
Yeah, there isn't really that many Knights left though for Yggdrasil. It didn't build that many, and it also tossed some away to the TC here. On the other hand, we have quite massive army numbers from Rehoboam.
Right, I think the last time that... I think SE has been updating Yggdrasil with like periodic updates, but definitely hasn't been received a lot of focus since the most recent Davis Cup tournament about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it actually, I think it finished third in that tournament, if I'm
right. Yeah, just because for those of you who don't know, the Davis Cup each AI does a 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4, and the tower rushing strategies on the fewer players matches, and then the sling strategy on the 3v3 and 4v4. The combination of both of those are strategies that AIs don't know how to face very well, and even took a game or two against Barbarian during that tournament.
Yeah, but certainly it certainly led to some fun games, especially when it's tower rushing and AI, which maybe have some more code to actually deal with tower rushes. It can be quite fun games. But yeah, we have Rehoboam now in Imp, whereas the Yggdrasil AI is still some time away from clicking up. So the question here is whether Rehoboam will change targets from the already dead general to Yggdrasil. I guess we'll just speed up until either that happens or Yggdrasil gets Imp and changes targets as well. It's going up now.
And did you pick Koreans for Yggdrasil?
Yeah, I did.
Or is that just random?
No, I picked Koreans.
Give it as much advantage as possible.
Yeah. Alright, now we have Rehoboam changing targets here. Getting the Paladin upgrade as well. Getting ready to sling its ally back into the game also, it seems. But yeah, defending from this amount of soon-to-be Paladins and 30 crossbows seems quite tricky for Yggdrasil here. Yggdrasil did have a decent boom, but it started a bit later than Rehoboam, getting to Castle Age a bit later. So it's not really surprising that it will also be a bit later to Imp here.
Yep, well that's what you'd expect from a tower rush. A lot of resources spent into those towers.
Yep.
It also shows the macro from Rehoboam.
Yep. There's certainly something where it should be able to out macro the other AIs in this fight. I think only really Promi and Barbarian, to my knowledge, and maybe some of the user patch AIs, which doesn't work too well on DE, can match it.
And I was kind of curious in these late game fights for Rehoboam, what kind of macro does it use? In early game you can see the archer and crossbow macro pretty easily.
So it basically only uses attack groups from mid-castle age and for the rest of the game, which is, to those who doesn't know, it's a relatively simple way of controlling units. You basically just tell the game engine to make a certain number of attack groups, which will just go attack the opponent. And usually I will just make 200 attack groups to make sure that every single unit goes to attack the opponent, and it will kind of split out the units by itself in the way you see here. So it's something that's very easy to set up, but certainly can be a lot more effective also if done in other ways. So it's basically just a something I've done because I haven't gotten around to making a better system. Barbarian, on the other hand, has way better late game military control. Um, yeah.
Do you imagine that you'll add late game micro at some point to Rehoboam?
Yeah, sure. It's not really on the cards currently, as there are other more gaping, like more noticeable gaps in its play, but it is certainly something that can be looked at eventually.
I feel like scripting is basically a never-ending list of the features you'd like to add to your AI.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure from the success in the most recent tournament, a lot of people would be asking for more civilizations for Rehoboam.
Yeah, a lot of
Maybe
people have
that'd
been.
be a sooner thing to add.
Yeah, yeah. Also, the Viber kind of introduced the Dirty Franks picker narrative, and I can totally see that it might seem a bit unfair to have one AI pick a civ every game and the other AI just going random. It's not really that I want it to be a Franks only AI forever, but it's also a question about what you want to spend your time on focusing on, and so far I've been mainly motivated by making an AI which was very strong and able to compete with the very best AIs, rather than trying to go for a lot of different strategies and different civs. So that's the reason it only plays Franks. I simply haven't gotten to other civs yet, and I haven't been scripting for that long, so compared to an AI like Barbarian, who has many years, has had many years to do so, I just haven't gotten around to it. But it will eventually be able to play more civs. Though I think there are still things that will take higher priority at this very moment, like the ability to play against full walls and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm taking a similar approach to my AI at the moment, mostly focusing on mag gears because it plays decently well with knights, but it doesn't have an enormous eco advantage, so I can kind of make a basic night rush that works in most settings and then just enhance it for certain civs. And then once I have a solid strategy, then go from there and apply it to other civilizations.
yeah, sounds like a plan. All right, so I guess this was actually what I had planned for tonight. Um, we would be very uh, ready to answer if you have any questions in the chat. We can also do like a game against the AIs if you'd prefer something like that. Like humans versus AI, or we can just close the stream. It's basically up to the people who are watching. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and post in the chat any questions you all have. I see we got a question, which AI is the best and why is it Panda Tuto?
um, not sure how to answer that, but so I think out of the AIs we've showcased today, Rehoboam would take the edge on at least any Arabia map with standard settings, unless it's playing some civ that makes it completely bug out. Um, but on other maps, I think I think maybe some of the SD AIs would be better on more non-standard maps. Yeah, and why is it Panda Tuto? It's probably not, but if in any situation where Panda tutorial AI does beat a more advanced AI, it will usually just be because of the AI meta of doing a lot of scrims. So, Screaming Coos is asking who's the co-caster. He probably joined after you introduced yourself, but I guess you can do that again.
Yeah. Yep, I'm Leif Ericson. And so I'm the scripter of the general AI. And I've been in the AI community on and off for several years. Spend most of my time answering questions and helping people to get to know how AI scripting works, and then add some improvements to AI when I have time. And I find a lot of fun doing that.
All right.
And there's also a question about the ELO. I'm guessing if you were to rate these AIs, compare them to human players, NightPanda, is there anything that you would add for that?
Yeah, actually, I thought it would be fun to have all the AIs on screens, and we could just all the AIs we've seen today on screen, and we could just speculate a little bit about how we would rank them. Obviously, these numbers are far from like any objective truth. It will just be our ideas, which may or may not be correct. So I'll just try and make a little graphic here, and we can talk a little about where we would rank the different AIs.
And of course, you can't play AIs on the ranked ladder, so you can't get a ELO that way. So it's always speculation about where each AI would fall. And it's hard because AIs might be weak at the early game, might be strong in the late game. And so it's really about how well you'd rate each part of the game. Humans would be able to abuse a lot of AIs and get a lot of wins that way. So it's always an interesting discussion to see how they would rate against human players.
Yep. So yeah, if we look at these AIs, I would say I would probably say that Rehoboam and Barbarian are significantly stronger than the rest of. Well, actually also Promi, like those three, which also finished top three, are significantly stronger than the other AIs. And ELO wise, I would guess that we're somewhere in the high 1100s. If I were to make a specific guess about that. But it's tricky, right? Because there's some glaring weaknesses which you can exploit. So maybe a player with a lower ELO would be able to beat the AIs, exploiting some of these weaknesses. And I think when we're talking about such weaknesses, I think Barbarian is probably the most robust, the most stable of these AIs in terms of its play, the hardest to abuse. It's simply more flexible overall. Where an AI like Rehoboam might be able to defeat better players, might even be able to beat someone in the high 1200s, I would assume. But it's also a bit easier to abuse if you know how to do it. And obviously, since it doesn't play against walls, you can just wall, and I guess even someone with a 1000 elo could beat it. Promi, again, I would say I actually tried to make some polls figuring out what it took to beat Promi without the use of towers. And the result from that poll was somewhere in the high 1900s, so about 1000 elo. Then you should be able to beat Promi consistently. But again, it's tricky because Promi isn't really that great in the early game, right? The macro isn't that great, so it's in the late game we might be approaching 11-1200 elo for Promi's play. So it's a bit hard to rate AIs compared to humans because they have some glaring strengths and weaknesses. Then we have the I guess you can call it the if those were the A tier AIs, I guess we have the next tiers with Pharaon and Odette and the Horde and the General. AIs, or maybe just the General. I think those AIs would probably play somewhere around 18, 800, 900 elo. I would be my guess out of nowhere. and AIs maybe also Panda Tuto around that elo, though it would maybe probably be easier for a human than an AI to beat Panda Tuto. So maybe just like 800-ish. And then we have Forthwind. I think is quite a bit weaker than the rest of the bunch here. Probably around 700 elo or something. Would be my guess, but it's not really based on anything other than my own feeling. So yeah, do you have anything to add, Leif?
I think that's a pretty good summary. So I think it's good to hopefully that helps people understand if they want to play against a particular AI, kind of gives them a good rating to figure out where they would fall. Maybe find one that matches their style. You can see the defensive or aggressive to pick one that does what you want to play against.
Yep. Yeah. These graphics are nice, and I think it would be nice to even have a bit of more info just to make it easier for players to find out which AIs has the capabilities that they would like to play against. Because it can be a bit much to try and research every single AI and what it does. So that might be something that we'll work on creating for the community as well.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Let's see if there's more questions. To play against an AI, you need the full code, so all of the AIs from the tournament and many more have the full code available. I think that may be an answer to a previous question.
Yeah, there have been. This is more true in the past. We also have a forums. Might as well link to that. And scripters would often share blocks of code to do certain things, like how to lure boars properly and things like that. Just dropping a link to the whole forum. But as they're saying in the chat, it is hard to borrow code from someone else because they might have it set up differently than yours, or it might conflict with some other code. So I find it's really good to read through someone else's AI or get ideas, but instead of just copying and pasting it, is instead to see if you can make it yourself. Because scripting is basically if all of these conditions are true, then do this. And once they have the idea of why it works, then you can kind of come up with your own way of implementing it for your own AI. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, certainly reading other people's AIs can be very tricky, especially Barbarian. That's just a pain in the ass to read.
Yeah.
I've only just started after 2 years of experience to be able to read parts of Barbarian. Yeah, it's just hard to read other people's AIs. You get used to doing things in your own way, and reading someone else's AIs can be like reading another language, basically. Someone here is also asking anywhere we can download the recs of the tournament, especially the grand finals. So yeah, all the recs from the tournament is actually on the Discord forum in the room called Recs, which is like halfway down. So yeah, that should be fairly easy to find. Um, Screaming Coos, I think it'd be cool to add an additional category that compares versatility, as some AI support more civs and more maps compared to others. Agreed. Certainly that would be nice to have as well. Um, I guess all the ratings, ELO ratings that I tried to make a guess of were based mostly on 1v1 DE Arabia, and on other settings the ratings might be completely different. So yeah, certainly showcasing the fact that some AIs are more versatile to other maps and settings is an important point, um, and something that might lead to very different results. And I do think there are people who wants to make tournaments with more non-standard settings, which could showcase which AIs are stronger in such settings.
Yep, I think that'll be fun. There is, we've had some tournaments in the past that used a map pool of sorts, including basically a modified, like almost like the hyper random map. We called it Fen Crazy after one of the old AIScripters in our community, where the resources themselves can the amounts of resources that the like trees or gold mines carried, even that was random. So it's a lot of fun stuff to see what kind of crazy settings AIs can support. But as you'd expect, most of our tournaments revolve around Arabia, and especially since this is our first DE tournament, we want to get in as many AIs as possible.
Yep. Thanks, Leif.
So, yeah, just looking through other questions
Yeah.
here.
Another question.
Yeah,
A guy asked, Promi AI plays like the actual Promi plays. Do you feel like that's true for other AIs? Um, I would say yes, actually. Not necessarily a one-to-one comparison, but certainly I think the way a script likes to play the game will have a huge impact on how his script will play the game. Obviously, I won't play the game exactly as Rehoboam does, but I do think that the lack of flexibility and focus on being more effective and a bit more on micro is something that reflects my style of play as well. I, I'm not really someone who will just go random civ and play basically just a new strategy every single game and make a lot of different counter units. I like to just go for one power unit and win with numbers. I don't know if you feel another way, Life.
I would say I have to admit I don't play the game very often. My interests, even within Age of Empires, get split between. I spend a lot of time AI scripting, but also scenario design. I tried making my own mod, um, and most of that's not released, unfortunately. Um, but I would say that the general plays in the areas of the game that I'm most familiar with, the I learned a lot of how to play the game by playing AIs and making AIs, which is kind of funny. And so a lot of the old AIs use a fast castle strategy, and that's the main reason why I went with that for my AI because that's what I was familiar with. But I hope to learn more about fleshing and other aspects of the game to be able to add those skills to my AI as well. But yeah, I'd say to answer the original question, I would say that it probably plays how I would be most knowledgeable about the game.
Alright, cool. Then there's a guy asking whether you can download them as mods, and I think that's been answered. You can. I've I've uploaded. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I uploaded um, the entire AI pack of the tournament, as I just said, as a mod to D, and also I uploaded Rehoboam specifically as a mod. the tricky thing about uploading AI packs is that you can't really update every single AI, or at least that would require a lot of work. So the idea of having a specific mod for Rehoboam is just that it will automatically be updated when I choose to update Rehoboam. But yeah, every single AI should be as it was updated at the end of the tournament in the AI pack. So yeah, and I see Leif also linked that in the chat.
What do you think about the hardest behavior to emulate of human players?
Let's see. I think. There's a lot of things that are hard to emulate of human players. I th I think the ability to play greedy in a calculated way, where you actually play greedy but not too greedy, because you know exactly what you can get away with and you know how to defend. I think that is the hardest thing to emulate, or at least the the uh, the thing that will distinguish AIs from humans in most games. So to give an example, going going for a fast castle age where you just wall and gets castle age and starts booming a bit, making just enough military to defend and rewalling. That's just incredibly hard for an AI to do. Even if you make an AI that can wall, you also have to make it good enough to rewall, and you have to make it realize exactly when it would have to like transition out, or what if the wall is breached and stuff like this. So yeah, calculated greedy play and especially walling, I think is tricky for AIs to get right in a way that it's not hurting the AI more on average than it's actually helping. Do you have something to add,
Yeah,
Leif?
I was gonna throw walling out myself. That as a thing that it's really hard for AIs to do. The the even just like economy management, unless you use um, unless you micro the villagers individually, the AI system will try to assign villagers to resources regardless of where walls are placed. And so if the game tries to tell the villager to go to resources outside of the town, then it's just going to like bump up against the wall um, and so you just run into issues really quickly. Really a cool feature that you could add to an AI would be quick walling. But then the villagers that are, if you're walling in a lumber camp, those villagers walled within the lumber camp might want to try and escape and build a building somewhere, or get reassigned to farming or something like that. And so you have to basically add in a whole bunch of logic for the walls to work well. And almost might be easier to just have the AI micro every single villager independently, so then you can just tell each villager what to do itself to take care of the walls.
Yeah, and
So that's what I would say.
when you're scripting an AI, you often, before you start a new big project, you'll often either consciously or subconsciously ask yourself the question, like, do I think I can actually do this? How much time do I think it will take? And how much do I think it will improve the AI, or at least give the desired outcome in the end? And when it comes to walling, there's really, you sacrifice a lot by using your vills and having the risk of a lot of bugs happening, and the potential rewards, they aren't really guaranteed. Like, the AI would also have to have its entire military behave in a way where it actually knows where the walls is and moves in the right way and exploit the fact that it
Hmm.
can't be attacked at home. So it's a lot of time for no real guaranteed reward. So it's kind of a high risk thing to spend a lot of time on compared to other things. And there are every single AI, as you can see from these graphics, has a lot of things that can be improved. Like no AI is even close to perfect, and I can say for certain that Rehoboam could be much better at every single aspect of the game. So could Barbarian. Um, so AI, and even a player like the Viberite would be able to beat uh, most players 200 elo below him without using walls at all. So there are a lot of other aspects which are more promising for most scripters to look at. Um, so yeah.
Yep.
Um,
And I imagined, like, if I were to make an AI that used walls, I'd probably design that AI with that being my original design in mind. It's like it's part of its strategy is going to play defense and wall up. And that's like the cornerstone of the AI strategy just because of how much that would affect the AI decision making.
yeah,
And then adding it to an AI later would be pretty challenging.
yeah, I can get behind that. I do know there is a scripter who's who has plans to make a very strong AI with a lot of different features, with one of them being walls. Um, I do not think he is at a point with his walls where it's like close to being finished yet. But it would be if anyone has heard of the maximal being, he will have
Hmm.
an AI competing in the next Davis Cup tournament. So it will be interesting to see if walls is something that he will actually have finished at that point. Because if so, then it might put pressure on other AIs to be able to play against walls. So, but it's in the unknown. I think at this point, I'm not sure if even he knows how far he'll get with it. So let's go to the next question here. We have Cunelius and asking, um, uh, anyone crazy enough to think a framework for a machine learning project which eats replays and learns how to play? I know there's some people experimenting with some sorts of machine learning. It's not really something I know anything about. I don't have any programming background or anything, but my understanding is that it's smaller projects which haven't really yet been that fruitful in terms of making very strong AIs. Um, and also, if you compare it to other strategy games like Dota and StarCraft, where we've seen machine learning be extremely successful, um, the resources poured into those games to make such projects aren't really something that is on the cards for Age of Empires currently. Um, but never say never. But I don't really see it happening. At least a big, serious machine learning project capable of competing with pro players is not something I see to be likely within the near future.
Hmm. But it could be a fun project to see kind of how it goes and see where you can end up with.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking, I saw a suggestion for the Ulysses AI in terms of walling with buildings. And that is kind of fun to see. Ulysses will often build just say a perfect circle around its town with buildings, which can sometimes help. Sometimes it hinders the AI. It is fun to see, though. Um,
Very pretty town. Probably the
yep.
prettiest towns of any AI is Ulysses. All right. Um, I think that was the last question. However, some earlier we suggested that we could try and play against the AIs, and I think somewhere in the chat someone suggested we try and play against Rehoboam. So I think that might be fun for people to watch me play against Rehoboam as I'm its scripter, and I am
Hmm.
able to beat it, but not without quite a challenge. So I would suggest for try and do that.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So I would let it be up to the chat whether I should go for ranged units or a scout rush against Rehoboam. So you can just type whichever you would prefer to see in the chat, and I will attempt to beat Rehoboam without using walls and without using forward buildings with that strategy.
So I see scouts, the Spanish supremacy.
I think I
Might
will.
not do very well in feudal age.
I will either do a flush or a scout rush. So those are the two. Those are the two options here. Because most other strategies will feel like an exploit of sorts. Because those are really the only two strategies that Rehoboam is made to play against so far. It can do somewhat decent against Drush and Man at Arms Rush, but as a player I'm not really great at those anyway. So I think I feel most comfortable just doing a flush or a scout rush.
Any other votes?
Yeah, so far one vote for scouts, and so that's the leading one, it seems. I guess I'll just do hunts here. One less thing to think about with the houses. Alright, I'll give people 1 minute.
All right, we got scouts.
1 minute to answer, and then I will go for whichever. I guess I can I'll just start the game, because Hans can go for whatever, right? And if people change their minds, at some point, then that was a terrible start. My mouse has this weird bug where it won't work for the first 10 seconds of game time. So that's why the first seconds weren't that pretty.
It's playing easy on Rehoboam. All right, and if there's any other questions in the chat, I can answer some questions while we're watching the Dark Age play. And by the way, if you've been watching the recorded games or some streams of the tournament, you sometimes saw messages from Rehoboam talking about playing it on a custom map, and that message is because this is being played on the Arabia 2020, so not the new Arabia, which of course is a custom map, and that explains that. And then with Barbarian, I know a lot of people in the streams were asking questions about that. The message from Barbarian is because the Barbarian AI didn't know that extreme difficulty existed, and so it seems since it wasn't hardest or hard difficulty, then it was being played on a low difficulty setting, and so that's why Barbarian would send that message.
I just made a very terrible Dark Age here, so everything is going as expected, I guess.
Let's see, what's my personal favorite AI and why? I could play cheeky and say my own AI, but I'll choose a different one. There's so many AIs to pick from. I definitely enjoy Barbarian, of course, because of its intelligent play and able to play all different sorts of difficulty settings. I really enjoy having Promi as a training partner for my AI. It's one of the best booming AIs in the game, and so it's a good chance to see if the general can punish it or not, or if he can keep up with the boom. One fun one is Rage, which is an older AI scripted by Kuni, which is mostly a crossbow rush AI. It has some interesting micro, and that's fun to have. I always really enjoyed some of the older AIs that went for some funnier strategies. Like Eagle's Revenge is a really old AI that went for an Eagle Warrior rush, but just does it very well. Strongbow, which was like the first strong crossbow rush AI. And you can kind of see those kind of AIs were probably part of the influence of why I scripted General to go for these fast castle rush strategies. Yeah, so those are just kind of a list of AIs that I really enjoy. Let's see what else. Any other questions we got? Another fun question might be which SC AI do I like the most? Because SC has like a half dozen AIs out there now. We saw Pharaon in the spotlight today, and also Odette. And probably SC's, and Yggdrasil is also made by SD. SC's strongest AI is probably called Tribal Warrior, which is also his oldest AI, and one of the first strong skirmisher rush AIs. But I do think I like SC's Odette AI the best, just because of its going for different strategies, its occasional walling. It's a fun AI, and also I think SC originally started it to try and add some good micro to his AIs, and it eventually evolved into an AI in its own right that can actually play some good strategies. Yeah, I think I like Odette the best out of all of his AIs. Alright, so just waiting to see if we get any archers from Rehoboam in Panda's base. I half expect that Panda will be attacking first with some scouts, but we'll see who gets there first.
Yeah, I did a terrible opening here. I think even just listening to someone talk while you play is
distracting.
having some impact. Yeah. So I think I had a lot of idle TC. I'm probably like 1 or 2 vills behind it here already. But the plan is to simply just outmaneuver Rehoboam and try and win that way. Alright, so let's get out the first scouts here. I should probably do a tower even. I'll figure it out eventually. Alright, let's and actually I shouldn't attack there. Yeah, I shouldn't, because I know where Rehoboam's army is gonna be. So let's run away here. Go there. And go there. You go there. Alright.
Yep, scouts mobility. Might be able to expose some decision making from the AI.
Actually, we can just
different kind of hit and run.
That was bad. Right. What do we this. Oh, that was bad. Well, at least we're keeping Rehoboam at home for the time being. So that's nice.
Yep, no villagers lost so far as I can tell.
I think I'll keep the army at home now, though, because it can very quickly die to Rehoboam here. Hopefully there will be some builds over here to hit. Yeah, they're still there. This should work quite well. Not the best micro by me. And we do not want to basically, we never want to micro against Rehoboam. That's just not a recipe for success, so...
Even Viper during his stream was saying he wouldn't want to micro against it to face like the double or triple kills that the archers will do.
Yeah. Alright, let's kill this first. Do this, and this, and this. Oh, I think it's attacking now, actually. This means we should bring this army home, probably. Doing a lot of spears here.
Yep, get back and defend.
Yeah, oh, wow. We don't want to... Oh. Ah, that's bad. That's not the plan. Okay, actually what we do now is we counterattack. We go up, do this, and we just go full counterattack mode here. I should have waited for upgrades though. That wasn't a great fight. I'm probably losing this even. Unless I can cheese the shit out of the AI here. I'll need to... my mouse is bugging out here. Freaking mouse bug. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll actually lose this. That was a bad time for the mouse to bug out. Losing all the army there.
Yeah.
Alright, let's try and get a bit of army out here. Well, I guess this was about showcasing how good Rehoboam is, right? So everything is going according to plan.
The plan is to make an AI that can beat a human player.
Yeah. I think this will be the first time I'm losing with Scout Rush. I mean, it's not over. I can still cheese this guy, but it's certainly not great. Also, right, time to try and pull it into the tower here, if I can. We'll just go all in on military here. Yeah, now we just need to hit it quick because we're far behind in eco. And we need to kill its army before it... Yeah, before that. Okay, Mangonel will be the next.
Mangonels are sweet.
next hope here. Okay, yeah, it's gonna have upgrades before we get there. I'll just start making those here and hope for the best. Oh, what happens? Yeah, I think we can defend with mangonels at this point. Hopefully we can kill a villager here. This might be very nice, actually. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Yeah, we might be coming back here. Oh, that was not a great fight, though. I guess this mangonel will clear up. Alright. Yeah, we can't really dive the TCs here. And if anyone is asking questions in the chat, you'll have to tell me live. I can't really multitask here.
You're good so far.
Alright.
Yep, mostly people giving advice. Playing the game vicariously.
Who needs fills, right? I guess we can do a few. Like this. I think we got this. I think we got this.
Yep, score switched a little bit ago.
Yeah.
I think a score tells everything.
I think it's still quite far ahead in Vils at this point, but I don't really think it can kill my army anymore. So, we should be good here. So basically mangonels are something I haven't gone around to scripting yet. How to deal with those. So this kind of shows, I guess.
Mm-hmm. There's a time when I always have fun in scripting the AI to use the flank attack stance, or not the flank formation, to split the mangonel shots. But it only got it to where it went well on the first shot, but then the code to like try it again wasn't so successful. But it was fun to see it in action.
Yeah. I imagine I will try something similar. Yeah, this is another bug in Rehoboam I haven't gone around to fixing. Its gold bills will keep running back to the gold even though they're dying there. This is because their bills are DUC controlled, and for some reason it's been very hard to turn that behavior off. So at some point I just got tired of scripting eco and ended up just giving up on it for that patch. So yeah, and it's basically making the game much easier to win from this point. The fact that I don't have to look for those to kill, they just come to me.
Come here, Villies. But the game had kind of turned before all these villagers started coming. Yeah. So
I think now we should
it still feels good.
We should just dive this TC now, then it won't even have food to produce more vills. Maybe a few knights up here to kill vills. Yeah, that should be it. Rehoboam should resign when it's appropriate, so we can still just wait for that.
Yeah, this is fun to see. See some of the strengths of the AI, but then showing that it can be beat.
Yeah, this certainly
Way
wasn't
more interesting than just seeing an AI getting stumped.
It's certainly not my my macro winning this. But yeah, knowing the AI you have to beat, you will when you're feeling pressured, you will start to exploit it, right?
Yep, it's like your sibling rivalry. You know exactly which buttons to push to make them angry.
Yes, and also it's like the pride of your AI losing does not trump the pride of you losing, right? So
yeah, there's no way my creation can beat me.
So I would expect it to resign soon. I guess I just... The fact that I didn't make bills is probably why it hasn't resigned yet.
They were just keeping knights by all the TCs to kill off the villagers. Will get it to resign.
Guess I'm also throwing a lot of knights away here. Yeah, let's just kill this TC. Let's have some build skills. Well, that's not pretty. I guess I didn't do a single eco upgrade this game either. There's no reason to do that though, because Rehoboam only looks at population when deciding when to throw in the towel, so... oh, that's nice. We'll go for the killer push.
What do you think is going to be the next thing you focus on in Rehoboam?
So currently I'm working on user patch compatibility. So basically, maybe you can explain. No, I can explain. So user patch and DE ideally would be. Okay, let's just end the game now. I think it's safe to say this is over. So basically, user patch is supposed to be... DE is supposed to be the same as user patch, but there are still some key differences which are being fixed, but also some key differences which probably will never be the same. Obviously there's some balance changes, there's some map scripts that are different, but also just the pathing itself and the way the AI engine is set up in certain ways will always be different. So scripts will always behave a little bit differently, and going from user patch to DE is now easier than ever, but going the other way is very tricky for a large number of reasons. So first of all, you have some limitations on user patch you don't have on DE, like how many lines you can make a rule, which means if you are used to using the DE system, that alone can take like several days to fix. And I also just encountered like hundreds of bugs on user patch, so a lot of time to be able to play on user patch. And the only reason I'm really doing this is to be able to compete in the Davis Cup, because there's not a lot of people playing on user patch anymore. um, and then the plan going forward is to update Rehoboam for DE mainly, and have it be able to play on user patch, even though it's never gonna be as strong on user patch. But hopefully it can be strong enough to compete with the very best AIs there. So that's the current
Hmm.
project, and in in doing so, in making it able to play on user patch, I'm also fixing stuff here and there, like little things, and hopefully I'll also have time to make it a bit stronger. But currently, that's the main project, just making it able to play on user patch the same way it does in DE, or at least like 90% as at 90% strength or something like that.
Exactly. And yeah, the someone asked the general idea about scripting perhaps only for DE, and I think kind of like what you said, Panda, is that we have the Davis Cup tournament, which also includes AIs that were really old, released even before user patch was released, and that tournament I believe is still being played on user patch. So that's the primary reason why you'd want to still keep an AI compatible with user patch. But I think more and more the DE is the primary platform for AI scripting nowadays. So if you have interest in scripting for the Davis Cup, then you could keep some compatibility. But otherwise, if that doesn't interest you, then you can go for like DE full time. I think probably the biggest thing, if you want to have some compatibility with user patch, is to keep with the limitation for 16 elements per rule, and then just you can kind of cross your fingers that you won't have any compatibility bugs that crop up. But just following that would save you a lot of effort of having to reduce your rule size in the future. I think that's the smaller rule size and user patch is probably the hardest thing to go backward on.
Yeah, I would say if you plan to maybe go make your AI user patch compatible, do it at an early stage, because as the more complex your AI becomes, the harder it becomes also to pinpoint why certain things bug out. It may not be
Hmm.
easy to spot. So yeah, as Life says, the 16 line limit to rules is a good place to start, and then just yeah, maybe test it on user patch on occasion, if you want to keep compatibility. But it's who knows? Maybe in a few years, only the Davis Cup will be hosted on user patch, and everything else will have moved to DE. Um, Certainly a possibility. But I think that was
Right. The
you can finish your thought.
Yeah, so just like thinking of what's coming next, I know a philosopher who has been streaming a lot has been thinking of doing his own unofficial tournament on DE with using Britons for all of the AIs. The AI ladder is going to resume, and that's going to likely be DE only. Might continue it on the Wello Kingdoms as it was in the past, but it seems like most of the interest is on DE now. And that's a place where you can just have your AIs play against each other and get a elo that's sort of like being on the rank ladder, but AIs only. So that should be fun. We have more DE AIs that can play than we ever have, so it should be busy on that once again. But those are the things that are coming up, and I do see that DE might be more common of a platform than the user patch and well low kingdoms going forward.
Yeah. Well, I guess also that we'll conclude the last questions in the chat. And I think this is all that I had on my mind for this stream. So unless you have anything extra, Leif, I think we will be signing off here. And maybe
Yep,
the
I
next
think that's good.
maybe the next things that will come up will either be Philosopher doing some of his own games against the AIs, or possibly his tournament, or the AI letter. So stay tuned for that.
Yep, sounds good. The if you want to keep up with the stuff that we're doing, the best hub for that is this Twitch channel and our Discord. I think Rorik posted a link above. And also the Viper released a video on his Shorts channel that about the Barbarian AI. You can find a Discord link there as well. And you can follow our stream. Sometimes we have the tournament matches. Sometimes we just have humans playing against AIs. Sometimes we have show matches like this. So you can see a lot of different things going on and get more linked up with the community. And I'm glad that you're all here.
Yep. And thank you, Leif, for joining. And I guess that's it. So bye-bye, everyone.
Yep. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.